Het is een eer... Wait. Het is een eer om hier te zijn. How was that? Thank you. For those of you who didn't understand my bad Dutch, we are delighted to be here. My name is Robert Caplan, and this is my business partner, Anthony Villis. And together we set up and run a financial planning firm in London called First Wealth. We were thrilled when Mark asked us to come and speak here today, and as you can tell, even more delighted when he said I didn't have to give the whole presentation in Dutch. Even 2 years ago, we couldn't have imagined that we'd be on a stage like this talking to you about how to grow a successful financial planning firm. But you've got to remember that we've been doing this for 20 years, and it's not always been great. In fact, we've had a lot of ups and downs along the way. I think that the reason why Mark asked us to come and speak at today's Masterclass on the subject of managing change is that our story really is one of change. How we've changed ourselves as individuals and how we've changed our business to create what we believe is the future of financial planning, constantly changing to try and get better. In order to tell you our story, we need to tell you a little bit about where we've been and where we've come from in order to be here today. So come, let us take you on our journey.
Hi guys. So basically, to tell our story, we've split it down into 5 component parts. And we'll explain what those are as we go through. So the first bit really is probably from 96 to 2008 when we started our career. And then the beginning of First Wealth, which is in 2009. First Wealth starting again, probably 2012, and we'll explain exactly what we mean by that a bit later on. And then the building phase of the business, sort of 2014, where we start to get some traction and we start to get some momentum and what that meant. And then really, what's next? What are the plans for First Wealth as we move forward?
Between us, we've been around a bit. Anthony started his career in 1996, and I started in 2001. And by a fortunate coincidence, we ended up working together in 2002. Our old company was a great company to work for. We had loads of fun there, but it was very much an old-school business model. It was product sales-led, commission-driven. Now, whilst there are obviously lots of negatives to this kind of old business model way of doing things, we learned some valuable lessons, which were really important to us when we were to grow and when we were to build First Wealth. We learned the power of working with clients. We learned how to sell ourselves as individuals. The company was sold, the culture changed, and the fun ebbed away. And Anthony and I parted company in 2004 and went our separate ways. I set up the investment and pension side of my brother and father's mortgage business, and Anthony set up a financial advice firm in a chartered accountancy practice based in London. Whilst our environments had now changed, and we now had a greater degree of autonomy within our working lives, the model remained the same. We were still selling products, commission-driven. The success of our clients was linked to the returns of the stock markets, but we were making money. Clients were making money. Everything was great until
the financial crisis of 2008. So it's remarkable to think now that the financial crisis is 8 years ago. It seems like yesterday. For anyone that was working in the industry at that time, the sort of massive panic that it caused amongst clients and also amongst advisors as well. And this sort of whole storm erupting around us, and just remember being in the middle of that storm just thinking there is nothing that we can do about this. No one really knows how things are going to pan out. And I think in hindsight, there's some clever people, and we read about one on the way over. We predicted the financial crisis. We saw it all coming, but really, many people didn't see it coming. And I think Rob and I were having a conversation at that time thinking, we never want to feel like this again. When we're doing client reviews and the market's all over the place and people are looking at their savings accounts thinking, wow, this has really gone down in value. It's a really uncomfortable time. And I think for us, it was a massive lesson learned that if you are selling your products around, you are managing clients' assets, and that is all you're doing, and the markets are in free fall, it's very difficult to justify the value of what you're doing. And I think it was a difficult time and a real lesson learned for us at that time. And we picked out some old emails from the sort of various points in our career. So you may be able to read this, but we'll just read it out for you so you can see it.
So my email to Anthony at this time was, "Hey mate, what the bleep is going on? Markets all over the place. A client just called to ask if his money in Barclays is safe. Any ideas? Frightening. Help?"
And my response to Rob at the time was, tell me about it. I can't believe layman's. I think we're all going to hell in a handcart. It's time for a drink. So there was a lot of confusion. We weren't sure what the hell was going to happen at that time. So what happens next?
So in the middle of the financial crisis, we decided to set up a financial planning firm. In hindsight, it maybe wasn't the smartest move. But we didn't care, to be honest. We vowed that things were going to be different. We had our own business. We had fancy new offices. We took fancy new offices in the centre of London. We had a write-up on the cover of Citywire magazine as new model advisors. You can see the front cover of that article behind us. You know, we've changed it a little bit since then. Our business model was simple. It was to combine financial planning, wealth management, and tax planning. We committed to a fee-based model some 3 years ahead of the retail distribution review, which was coming in the UK. So we thought we were being really forward-looking. We had our great new offices. We had our new business model. We were getting loads of clients. We were growing. We were doing really well. But something deep down didn't feel quite right. Something felt just a little bit wrong.
Frustration. So the thing that was missing from the business at that stage was just the fact that we weren't enjoying it. We've been doing the same thing for quite a long time, and I think probably we were both a bit bored of ourselves and certainly a bit bored of what we were doing. So, although we'd set up this new business, we were sort of running around like headless chickens, running faster and faster and faster and really making no progress. So we were doing the usual suspects, you know, seeing clients late in the evening, seeing any clients, you know, irrespective of their backgrounds or their financial position. Doing a lot of speculative work on the basis that if the client makes some investments with us, we'll get paid. So although we were running our own business, we didn't feel like we had much control, and I think we just felt like we were absolutely shattered, doing the day-to-day job, but trying to manage the business and trying to get some traction for how the business would grow. And I think at that stage, we really couldn't see how we could take the business forward at all. I think we were also frustrated, so we'd formed this business, we thought we've got this great idea of combining wealth management with investment and tax planning. We must conquer the world, surely, but it didn't quite work out like that. We were losing clients to prospective wealth managers and other investment banks, so we thought we had this proposition that was great, but it wasn't working as well as we could. And I think we were struggling to articulate why. Why was First Wealth different at that stage? And the problem, looking back, is that we weren't different. We were kind of falling back exactly into the trap that we had been in previously, focusing too much on investments and the tax planning, the boring bits of what we were doing. So at that stage, we couldn't really see how things could be moved forward. And again, a lot of frustration at that time within the business. And again, just picking out another email from that time, and this is from 2012, so this is my email to Rob. So everything is doing my head in. Honestly, I'm losing the will to live. I might just fire everyone, including myself. I'm in a shit mood.
And my response back to Anthony was, clearly, you need to take a chill pill. Everything will get better, won't it?
And that ultimately was the question, will it get better or won't it get better? And we really didn't know at that stage.
So after kind of lots of soul searching, we decided not to sell our business. And we thought we were going to give things one last go to try and get this right. After all, we did have a successful business. The financials were good. We were making money. We just weren't happy really kind of doing it. So we kind of decided that we were going to live by a motto which we still live by today. And that is we're going to continue doing this as long as we're going to have fun whilst we're doing it, and as long as we can continue to grow it. If we can't grow the business anymore, if we stop having fun doing it, that's our exit point, that's our time to get out. But what we needed to find was we needed our inspiration, we needed a spark.
To Isaacson's brilliant biography of Jobs in 2014, so just at the period we were making all these changes within the business, and a couple of things leapt out from the pages, and one is just the absolute genius of Steve Jobs. And the other one, and probably the most important at that time, was the amazing passion that he had for what he was doing, building these incredible products at Apple and challenging the status quo and changing the world. And I kind of read this and felt a bit flat, thinking, wow, what an inspirational guy. And it came back to this thing around, where is the passion for what we're doing? We've been doing the same thing for a long time now, selling investments and pensions, and going back to this idea about being a little bit bored. we thought, if we're going to take this forward, we need to find our passion, we need to find our enthusiasm, and we need to be able to then demonstrate that to our clients in terms of what we're going to be doing going forward. And that was quite a defining moment for us at that point in our career. And I think I keep coming back to this thing in my mind, these sort of thoughts around, am I doing the best thing I can be doing? Am I proud of what I'm doing? Am I helping anyone? Am I really doing something worthwhile? What am I learning? What am I improving? How do I view myself, and how do other people view me? What other things could I be doing? And I'm worried about looking back on my career in 20 years' time and going, you missed an opportunity. And I'm constantly evolving and thinking about these things. So it was a big time of change for us within the business. So in life, basically, you can change things, you can ignore things, or you can leave things. They're the three choices if things aren't working out. And I think the reality is, and you probably see already, that at that stage, Rob and I had the need and the desire to change. But where do we start? What was going to be the catalyst for change at that time? So by fortune, it was about that time that we started to receive some emails from a chap called Paul Armisen talking about his Inspiring Advisors videos. And really desperate for change, we thought, let's have a look at some of this stuff. Let's delve in and see what he's talking about. We kind of liked what we were seeing around this sort of alternative financial planning, the truth about money, the sort of alternative advisors, some of these concepts. And we thought, maybe this is the catalyst for change. Maybe we could adopt some of this lifestyle financial planning into our business. I think probably that for us was our big first light bulb moment where we thought, maybe there's a different way of doing this that we could enjoy doing. And I remember having a conversation with Rob at the time that went something a bit like this. So, mate, what do you reckon about this dude, Paul Armisen?
Yeah, I like the bit about living the lifestyle, walking the walk, and having loads of holidays.
Yeah, I like the bit about loads of holidays as well. So, do you think we could adopt some of his ideas into First Wealth?
Look, I think we're going to have to make a lot of changes. There's lots to learn, lots of new stuff to kind of get involved with, but if it means we can have all those holidays...
So, are you in?
I'm in.
Brilliant. And there it was. The decision was made that we would be lifestyle financial planners. And I think that's the beauty of having a board of only 2 people, that you can make some pretty quick decisions, especially when you need to make those changes quickly. Now, Paul also talks about a couple of books in his videos. I'm sure a lot of you all read these. So the first one is Simon Sinek, Start With Why. And Simon talks in his book around the businesses that are successful, being able to demonstrate their sort of emotional, their passion of what they're doing. He uses the example of Apple, which is a great example. So this really was our second light bulb moment, this idea of thinking, well, why don't we sit down and work out what the first wealth why is, and then we can communicate that to our clients, and maybe if we can demonstrate that we're pretty passionate about what we're doing, then maybe we can engage with clients in a different way. Well, okay, well, let's have a go at doing that. And then the second book that Paul talks about is The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And this book really is around why small businesses fail. And the reason that they fail is that they're set up by technicians, or financial planners if you like, who then end up running around faster and faster like headless chickens, trying to do the day-to-day job, but trying to manage a business. And I remember reading this thinking, this sounds really familiar with what we've been going through. So then Michael talks about the need to be successful. You need to put in place different things. So you need to have a visionary role in the business. Someone who's going to say, right, this is where we're going to go as a business. This is what we need to achieve. And then within it, you then need to have a management structure that helps deliver that change. And then you need to have the technicians as well. So 3 layers within a business. And again, it's not rocket science, but it was like a smack in the face, really, of, wow, that's really brilliant. That's what we need to be doing going forward. So that was our third light bulb moment. So all in all, these 3 things. So we're going to become lifestyle financial planners. We're going to define our why, and then we're going to build a business structure around it and grow the business to take it to the next level. And all of a sudden, we felt, oh, maybe this is the way forward within the business.
So we'd had our light bulb moments. The lights were shining bright in the First World offices. And Anthony and I locked ourselves in the boardroom, and we watched more or less back to back over kind of 2 or 3 days, every single one of the Paul Armisen videos. We then watched them all over again. We made a load of notes on everything, and then we talked about them. And we were discussing how we were going to roll this out to our clients. How were we going to proposition this to them? How were we going to tell our advisors about this so that they'd be as confident in the delivery of all of this as well? We looked at all of the questions which kind of the videos were telling us that we should be asking our clients. We wanted to try and develop the first wealth way of doing things rather than just simply repeating the videos verbatim, back to people and doing it in our own style. One of the questions which we use regularly is to ask our clients what their perfect day looks like. For us, we think it's a brilliant question. You can start engaging with clients in meaningful conversations straight away, rather than them having to maybe go away and think about things. Because a day is a very easily quantifiable period of time. Everyone can pretty much answer or picture what their perfect day looks like, whereas maybe thinking 10 or 15 years into the future is a little bit more difficult and challenging. We decided to map out rough scripts of how we were going to present this to clients and how we were going to run through it with them. And we practiced on each other, and we practiced on our staff, and we practiced on friends, and we probably drove everyone mad with it. And then we decided we were going to do this straight away. We weren't going to wait till Q3 or Q4 or put this off some distant time in the future and not commit to it. We were going to just go for this, and we were going to proposition it with clients by saying, let us introduce you to a new way of doing things. We've got a different agenda that we'd like to tackle the next review meeting with. Do you mind? And at that point, we were ready to go, but we were nervous. What if they asked? What if they didn't get it? What if they asked, why haven't you always been doing it like this? What if they asked, what have you been doing? What if they thought the concepts were too simple? They didn't get the bucket presentation. What if it all just fell flat on its face?
So I think it's important to say that we approached these meetings with a degree of trepidation. What was going to happen? And they loved it. It was brilliant. So I remember very clearly having my first meeting with a client who's been a client for a long time and explaining the new process and going through and having a really interesting conversation around longer term plans, big picture planning, and using the bucket presentation and the alternative advisors concept. And the client at the end of it was really positive about the feedback, about what we've been doing. And I think probably more importantly, I actually enjoyed the meeting for the first time in a long time, and actually enjoyed a client meeting because it was a financial planning meeting rather than a look back on what happened to UK equities or government bonds, which by that stage we said we were bored of it. But again, we had this worry, this is my best client, whatever I say, he loves it, he's my friend. What about the next client? What are they going to say? And what about the third client? But it was a consistent message. The feedback all along was really positive from my clients. And I remember talking to Rob at the end of the week, and his feedback from his clients was very similar, really engaging conversations with clients. And it was a great week for us because we put these changes into place. We weren't sure how it was going to work out, but it was really positive the way it had gone. So we felt really good about that. And again, this email from the end of that week, which from me to Rob, and this is only 2 years ago, remember, so this is fairly recent. The title is called The Bucket Rocks. Really love this week. Paul Armisen, it's my new hero. Loving the conversations with clients. So good to be having an interesting and engaging chat for once. Time for a beer. See you next week.
And my response back to Anthony was, what? You're not missing the chat about the outlook on UK gilts? Me neither. The first 2 clients loved it, and they've been clients forever. I think we may have a solution to our problems. Brilliant.
So it was a first bit of success within the business. So after probably 15 or 16 years of doing it the wrong way, we suddenly start to think, right, we might have a different way of doing things. We might have something that clients are going to engage with and we actually might enjoy. We might have some passion for what we're doing to get some energy into what we're doing. So March 2015, we signed up to the Back to Why conference in Birmingham. And as newfound enthusiasts for lifestyle financial planning, we went to this conference and sat at the back of the room making notes on all the great ideas that we were hearing. And it was really exciting to be surrounded by people who had a similar passion for what they were doing. And we remember going back from that meeting with loads and loads and loads of ideas and things that we thought, right, how are we going to incorporate these into the business and how are we going to improve things going forward? And one of the ideas that we want to share with you is here.
So this is one of the things which we heard there. Be so good that they can't ignore you. And it was said by Steve Martin, quoting his namesake at the conference. Thank you, Steve Martin, for this line, because we now have it tattooed across our minds. And this line really resonated with us, because the truth is we were being ignored. We were being ignored by the industry. We were being ignored by the bigger clients we wanted to be winning but weren't. We were being ignored by the judging panels of the awards which we were entering in and not being successful. But yet we thought we were brilliant, and it kind of started to maybe cast a few doubts in our minds. Maybe actually we're not really as good as we think we are. Maybe actually there's a load of changes which we can make. Maybe we can do everything just that little bit better. And by now, it was pretty clear to us. We needed to make lifestyle financial planning the absolute center of everything which we did. We needed to build our business around it. We needed to build a brand around it. Now, when you come to a realization that you've got to change absolutely everything in your business, it can be a little bit daunting. But rather than let it be daunting, my challenge to all of you would be is to say, think about what's going right in your business. And again, we had to come back to that we were coming at this from a position where we were making money and we were doing okay. And therefore, all of the changes we hoped we were about to embark on and make were just going to make us even better. They were going to make us so good that we can't be ignored anymore. And that is what we wanted. So our starting point on this journey was to look at and define the first wealth why. Why did we exist?
And here is the first wealth why. This is what we now communicate with our clients. This is what we talk to our clients about. So great financial planning can change your life. We exist to inspire ideas, create confidence, and give you the freedom to live. Now I know, and so does Rob, that is a little bit more interesting than going, we do investments and we do pensions and we also do some tax planning. All of a sudden, we've got something we can help and explain what we do. And there's some passion in this. Come with us and we can help change your life in a positive way. We exist to inspire ideas. So what do we mean by that? When clients come in, we want to have really amazing conversations with clients about what their plans are for the future. What do you want to do when you grow up? What are the things that are stopping you from doing that? Getting these things out of people. And then being able to demonstrate that some of these things are doable now, and when these things can be done. This is not just a pipe dream. Let's make these things happen. Creating confidence around what we're doing. So being chartered financial planners and a chartered financial planning business. Entering and winning awards, okay? Displaying all our certificates in the office when clients come in. Communicating in a really intelligent way and giving great advice and great service. And just creating confidence around every aspect of First Wealth. And then giving the clients the freedom to live. And what we mean by that is simple. It really means around just making it easy for clients to do business with us. Now, most of our clients are very busy people, so we should remember that. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to think, like, what maybe our clients thinking about at the moment? So the obvious one is something maybe like Brexit, what the hell that's going to do to the UK economy, and people are concerned around that. So let's think about that and let's communicate in an intelligent way to our clients before they start contacting us saying, what's happening here? And the idea is that by doing that, it gives that sense of confidence, but the freedom think First Wealth is on top of that. They're dealing with these issues, therefore I can go and do them slightly more interesting things that we've defined within the great financial planning and changing their life. So that's our why, and everything we now do should communicate one of those concepts. So once we got down our why, the next bit for Rob and I was to write down the vision for First Wealth.
So this is our vision, to build a respected brand in financial planning with assets of over £1 billion within 10 years. It's pretty simple, and the reality is we probably knew this was our vision before we'd embarked on this exercise, but all of a sudden we now had it written down. We've got it laminated on everyone's desks in the office. Everyone now knows what our vision is within the company, what we're striving for, what we're trying to achieve. So now all of a sudden we can monitor our success, we can track whether we're on target, we can break the 10 years down into a series of 10 one-year events with numbers along the way so we know what we've got to hit, and it just keeps us focused and on track in order to achieve our goals.
And then next up, what we wrote down is what are core values. So what are the core values? The core values are the things that Rob and I believe in and the things we want to see in every aspect of the business. And that also extends to the people we now work with. So when we're looking to recruit people, we want these core values to be exhibited by our staff. So excellence. We want people to be at the top of their profession, both First Wealth, but also the individuals that work within the company. We've already said we're fairly ambitious in terms of what we're trying to do as a business. So therefore we want ambitious people to be working in First Wealth. People who are looking to be at the top of their profession, which will help drive our business to the top of this profession. Respect. We want people to respect what we're trying to do, our vision and our brand, but also to respect our clients and the massively privileged position we have in helping change people's lives in a really positive way. Happy people. So we believe in the economics of happiness. The idea is simple. We want people to come to work and enjoy being at work. Rob and I always said we want to actually have fun building this business because we're in charge, so we can do what we like, and we're going to enjoy this along the way. Importantly as well, happy clients. It's a simple idea. Happy clients have become ambassadors for First Wealth and refer clients into us if they go out and tell people about what a great job we've done for them. And then helping others, helping our clients, obviously, but also a sort of centre of excellence within the business, helping each other to strive to be as excellent and be as ambitious as we can be. But we also like to choose the charities and the causes that we are close to our hearts, and we like to give something back as well. So we're in that privileged position to help the wider community that we work in. So our core values are some there.
So we had our why, we knew why we existed. We had a vision, we knew where we wanted to get to. We had our core values, we knew what it meant to be the embodiment of First Wealth. We now needed to make sure we had the right team in place, and we had to go and tell our team about this. There's no point having all of this stuff written down on a piece of paper. And this is not an easy job, because don't expect all of your staff to kind of get all of this stuff straight away when you kind of start telling them, right, we're no longer focusing on investments and pensions and tax. I know that's what you've done all your exams and everything in, but actually we're lifestyle financial planners, and we want you to ask the bigger questions about these things to your clients. So what we wanted to do is we needed to make sure everyone was on board. So we applied the people analyzer to every single member of our staff, including ourselves. Did our staff get it? Did they want it? And were they competent enough to be able to do it? We were looking at all of those things. And it was like a natural shakeout, really. The people who we felt weren't committed to the business had naturally exited within 6 months. And this was great, because it actually allowed us to free up time, money, and resources to use with those people who did share the same vision, who understood the company why, and demonstrated all of the core values. It allowed us to hire new people into those seats which had been vacated, who again shared and understood all of those things. So we had our team. We now have an annual First Wealth Why Day each year, every January, where we reaffirm our company why, the core values and the vision. We started to look at a more team-based approach with regards to client servicing. So now when it comes to client servicing, within each team, we've got a client partner, a financial planner, a technical analyst, and a technical administrator. Now, not only does this now encourage more teamwork across all of the client servicing which we've done, but it also enhances and helps to de-risk your business, because you've got so many more pairs of eyes going over each piece of work before it leaves the door. The final thing which we wanted to do with regards to our team, and it was something which we were pretty passionate about, was we wanted a First Wealth graduate program. We wanted to mould and shape the future of the industry into our way of doing things. And so we set up the First Wealth graduate program, and Joe, our first graduate on it, was fully qualified within 2 years, and hopefully in the next 12 months with a bit more experience is going to be out there advising for us.
So 2015 was a really fantastic year for First Wealth. And of course, it shouldn't be a massive coincidence. All of a sudden, we had our vision, our why, we had the right staff, and we started to get some traction. We started to not be ignored anymore. So our profits and turnover increased by 20%, and we won 4 of the major financial planning awards in the UK last year. And it's something that hadn't been done before, and maybe it won't be done again. And I'm convinced that when we were going for these awards interviews, we were able to just explain with some passion what we're doing in the business all of a sudden. This is the vision, this is what we're doing, this is the kids we're bringing into the business to look to the future. And we're changing people's lives using financial planning. And that, again, is so much more interesting to articulate than just talking about we do investments and we do pensions. So that was a really important thing for us at that stage. I think the thing that was probably even more exciting for us is that the recognition that we'd received had all come in within a 12-month period of making all the changes. So we'd done the wrong things for a long time, we'd made a load of changes, and then all of a sudden we started to get some traction. So it left Rob and I with a sense of excitement, and opportunity and ambition for the future. And this email from, I think it's the morning after the Money Marketing Awards, which is one of the first awards we won, which is from me to Rob saying, winners, Money Marketing Advisor of the Year, woohoo! Can't believe it, what a great night, my head is killing me.
And my response back to Anthony was, tremendous, can't believe how far we've come, hashtag now to get even better. I'm guessing you're not coming in today. And this was the first time we've used this hashtag, which we've kind of coined and now we use on all of our social media correspondence. And we use it as a kind of reminder for ourselves to keep our feet on the ground and just strive towards positive change all the time. So what next? I think it would have been easy for us to maybe think at this point we had a perfect business and we'd won these awards and we had success and we had traction with everything which we were doing and therefore everything was great. But the reality of the situation is that we sat down in a room once the hangover had cleared, and we could probably pick out about 1,000 things within our business which we could do even better. Hashtag now to get even better. And again, the reality probably dawns on us now when we're kind of putting this presentation together for you is that, and we were asked this question when we had a few visitors a few weeks ago, is that I think this process is always going to need evolving, always changing, constantly trying to redefine what we do to try and get even better. It's never going to end. And even when it does, you're going to find other things which you can do to improve and enhance your business. But again, coming back to what I said earlier, is don't let this scare you. This is a great thing because you're coming at hopefully some of this stuff now from a period of having had success where you can make these changes to make things even better. So there's a few things going on in First Wealth at the moment, or quite a lot of stuff, but we wanted to just outline to you 2 projects which we're particularly working on and talking to you about the next stage of First Wealth. And those projects are defining the client journey and enhancing and improving the First Wealth brand.
So the client journey, what do we mean by the client journey? The client journey basically is the initial contact that the client has with First Wealth, right through to meeting the client, to giving the advice, and then to providing the ongoing service to those clients. So now why is it important to create the client journey? The reason is that as a small business, it's kind of easy to do it and replicate it. But as we start to grow, it becomes more difficult, gets diluted. So we're looking to scale up our business. And in order to scale it, we need to have processes and systems that enable us to grow going forward. We've worked with Michelle Hoskin to put the wow factor into each element of the client journey. But I think the key message for me really is to say, define what you're doing and just do it consistently well. You don't need to have everything absolutely whiz and amazing. Just do consistent delivery of really good financial planning. And I guess in some ways what we're trying to do, we want the business to feel a bit like a franchise model. So the idea is that you could pick up the First Wealth way of doing things and do it anywhere in the UK and you could have a successful outcome. So the sort of things we've written down are the initial contact with the client. What is the email you should be sending out to the client? When you speak to the client, what sort of questions should you be asking there? When you meet the client, how to explain the value of First Wealth? What's the best way to use the bucket presentation? What's the best questions to ask that client going forward? Gathering the data, keeping the client updated. When we then present advice, having a standardized way of doing it, something we call your financial plan, that goes through every aspect of the client's financial position to make sure nothing is missed and to make it very easy for the client to go, yep, you're my financial advisor. We want to work with you going forward. What does the client service look like? How often do we meet the clients? What do we do in those meetings to make them more interesting? Trying to make them forward planning meetings rather than review meetings. So it's all of these sorts of things, everything written down and recorded, and that we can then repeat it as the business grows to achieve our ambition. I think excitingly for Rob and I, is that we've got someone starting in January as a sort of practice manager, whose one of their key roles will be to oversee each element of the client journey and the delivery of advice and service, and working with the advisors and the administration to make this happen.
So we shared with you before our vision, and you saw part of our vision is to build this respected brand in financial planning. Now, I don't know what it's like in the Netherlands, but in the UK, there's no real such thing as a UK financial planning brand. The advertising and marketing space is pretty much dominated by the big investment and by the big investment houses and banks. And it was interesting to us when we were looking to try and identify and define the First Wealth brand, when we were looking at around all of the financial planning companies' websites and marketing tools around, is just how boring they really all are. They're so homogenous. They're all saying the same things, like, you can trust us, we give good service. It probably is no surprise now that our brand is built entirely around our company why we exist. Great financial planning changes your life. Inspiring ideas, creating confidence, giving freedom to live. We want it to look and feel like a media consultancy business rather than a financial advice firm. We want it to be exciting. We want our clients to engage with it. We don't want it to be boring. We want to find the First Wealth voice. We want all of our staff to have a say in it, so regularly blogging on lifestyle topics, as well as financial planning, but interesting stuff. What are the best restaurants in London to go to? What are the best gyms to be joining, the coolest bars to be attending? All of this stuff, which clients can actually engage with. We want to appeal to their emotional and their creative side, and it not just all be about the numbers. So as you can see, with those kind of two things, there's loads going on. There's loads more we could have talked to you about as well.
Just as we come towards the end, I just want to share 2 minutes with you about a little bit of a personal story that's really shaped the way I think about financial planning. And you can see, life is not a rehearsal. So this is obviously me, and this is my fiancée Petra in the middle. This is my little daughter Lux. So Lux was born in January 2015, and the world was amazing. Everything was fantastic. We've been trying for a baby for a long time, and we had the joy of being parents for the first time. And it was an incredible time for us as a family. 2 months later, April the 1st, which is April Fool's Day in the UK, ironically, Petra was then diagnosed with breast cancer. Okay? So we went from the absolute highs of having a family for the first time to absolute survival, thinking, is Petra going to survive this, and what the hell is going to happen to our family going forward? And it was a really dark time for us as a family. So although the business was doing well, at home, it was literally survival. There was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of tears, and a lot of sort of thinking about what might happen next. Now, Petra went through a fairly brutal course of chemotherapy and also had to have a double mastectomy and all of the emotional issues that went through that. But really, her attitude is so positive throughout all of this. And she's really an inspirational woman. Stronger, certainly, than I would ever be, and strong as an inspiration to me and also to her daughter as well, as she grows up. Now, I'm really pleased to say that Petra is now making a full recovery, both physically and emotionally, from what we've been through. Rather than sort of get down in the dumps about it, we said, right, what are we going to take out of this? What's the positives that we are going to focus on going forward? And the obvious thing to say is, we spend our time talking about life is not a rehearsal. You need to live for today and not put off tomorrow what you could be doing today. So our view is say, right, we want to live by the sea. We don't want to live in London anymore. So we put our house up for sale, and we're currently in the process of moving down to our dream home, which is about a mile away from the beach down in Dorset, where I grew up. Now, this is important for me because I want to be almost the living embodiment of financial planning. I want to say, and want clients to look at me and go, this guy is living what he's talking about. So I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. So now is our time, and let's make the most of it for both us as individuals and also for our clients. And just before we finish, we just want to use 2 last quotes that I think are important to Rob and myself.
So this quote here by Rasmus Ankerson, he's the author of a book called The Goldmine Effect, which talks about cracking the secrets of high performance, and he's a bit of a hero of mine. But his quote is this, is last year's record becomes next year's baseline. And we use this again as a kind of reminder to not rest on our laurels. The world is watching, the competition is watching what you're doing, everyone's trying to catch up. You've got to be constantly changing, evolving, trying to move forward and make those changes to stay ahead of everyone else.
And finally, this quote here, which probably really nicely summarizes what I was just talking about. That every man dies, but not every man truly lives. And what we mean by that is that let's make the most of our time here. And as individuals and as lifestyle financial planners, and transmitting that the message to our clients is really, really important. So Rob and I have really enjoyed being here today, so thank you for listening. And if we've provided even a small amount of inspiration to any one of you, we'll be very proud. So thanks very much.